Hello guys! How are you today? And welcome back to Sensei Ivan and my parkour channel. Today I want to talk with you about palm spin. How to do this? I will provide you 4 different progressions for you and your students. Maybe you can find something for yourself if you're struggling to do palm spin. We'll talk about biomechanics and the angle which you need to look when your student is doing this, and 8 different variation how you can play with palm spin and some skills on the edge of the block or wall. Okay? Before we're going to split this trick on the parts, let's talk about the body position and what you need to keep eye on to understand the movement. The common palm spin looks like this. You jump from 2 feet, you have one arm as the axis of your rotation, and other arm is helping you to twist and push off the wall back to the place where you jump. First big mistakes what a lot of students do. They're placing the feet in opposite direction from the hand. So if your hand on the right side, you sure your belly and your toes pointing the same direction towards your arm. The second hand should be not too far away from your first arm, because the farther you will place your second arm, the farther away you will jump. It's really hard to come back to the same spot where you started. Also, to understand this move and not stuck on the block, you need to look at the arm. As you can see, axis of rotation, it's not vertical. It slightly leans sideways out of the block. When you do palm spin, you're not trying to go over the obstacles. You're going sideways like a wall spin. About wall spin, we'll talk in the next video. I will give you a lot of different progression how to teach wall spin, and actually a lot of my students learning wall spin faster than palm spin. One more thing what you need to focus on or watch what your athletes do. It's to use the second arm to push and spin. The tuck position is also really important in that palm spin. Progression number 1, do your side vault on the block. To get used to the tuck position, take one hand off and jump off. Yes, we just talked about the not jumping as far as possible on the block or jumping on the block, but for most of the athletes it's really scary to lean outside of the block and get rotation over the arm. But don't rush, teach yourself or your students to understand each step, and it's really important for you as a coach or as an athlete to understand all steps, because you can use it in a different situations. On the jump off the block, they can actually start get used to it, leaning their axis of rotation forward and land on the feet. Progression number 2, we're going to talk about safety palm spin. As you already know, safety vault, check this one. Jump from 2 feet, use one hand to push off and off to place your foot. And our goal in this progression to put the foot as far as possible to the end of the obstacle. You can even draw some circle on the obstacles to show your athlete visually where do you want to see their foot placement. In this safety palm spin, it's really important to understand the foot placement and how to use this skill, because when you go into higher obstacles, it always can save your tailbone for crashing on the concrete or wood block. If you're teaching your students on the wood block, there is 2 more progression I will suggest you to do. One of them, it's 180 palm spin on the corner of the block. I would usually put the line on the ground, draw it to make the visual line where they have to land. Next progression, I will suggest you to learn how to do palm spin dash, because this also will help to avoid crushing your tailbone. After when you learn how to do safety palm spin and you feel you can do it straightforward, but you feel like you will hit your tailbone, use your second arm to support your tailbone. Learn the dash vault if you need before this trick. After all of this, just try to keep your tuck position longer. Instead of bringing your hips above of the block, focus to bring your hips above of your arm. In this way, it will be much easier for you to come back to the same spot where you land. Now let's talk about different variation and different tricks which you can do by the edge of the block. Palm spin tuck or palm spin wall kick. If you have an obstacle, put the block nearby the wall. Be sure it has enough space between the block and the wall, because you need to now lean towards the wall. As you already learned how to do a safety palm spin, it will not be too hard for you to learn how to do tuck off the wall. If this is hard for some of your students, make them do a Spider-Man position. It will be exciting for them to feel how to be a Spider-Man, placing their feet on the wall, hold for a bit, and have to jump off. When they get used to this, do the tuck off the wall and it's done. Second variation, you can do palm spin and Kong off the wall. Again, push yourself towards the wall, get the pressure on your feet to be able to jump off the wall. And after, just switch your hands and bring your legs between your arms. One really important part here, your feet should be higher than your hands. If they're afraid to bring the legs between arms, don't forget we have a side vault. In some countries it's called two hands vault. Next two tricks is another palm spin, but I think it's a lot of fun to learn this, and it will build your parkour portfolio. For the third one, I decided to give you a cartwheel on the edge. I hope you students learning how to do cartwheel as well. It's gonna help you to do a combination like a cartwheel side flip or a cartwheel Arabian. You will facing to the block and do cartwheel, but use your arms to slightly push back off the block to land on your feet on the same side of the wall. For the next one, I call this shoulder cartwheel on the edge. But I don't know, if you know the name of this trick, please comment below. Start as a roll on the edge. Start with facing to the block, and we're going to do it like a log roll. After when you learn how to do log roll, I would suggest you to try a few times keep up. If you don't know what is keep up, Google it. Go into YouTube and say keep up from the ground. And after we're going to combine three elements. It's a log roll, cartwheel, and keep up. And now let's talk about reverse palm spin. It came to change your motion from one direction to other direction, but if you prefer to spin in the same direction as your normal palm spin, all what you need to do is just change your arm. Instead of your right hand, which will be your axis of rotation, you will use your left arm to have for your axis of rotation. And after, you will use your right arm. I would suggest to you to learn both direction, your palm spin and reverse palm spin, because it's a cool combination, go there and back by using the same arm. And if you know you will not be able to accomplish that spin, use the safety step to protect it. Next one, they call Italian or rail la flare. I think so. If you already like this video, please subscribe, share this video with our coaches or other athletes, put your thumb up, comment below. So write down the skills below which you'd like to know about, and I will put on the list of my videos which I'm planning to do. I know it might be basic stuff for most of you guys because you're so strong, but it's always good to know more things and more variations. And back to Italian. Learn the lazy or dash vault first before you do this. Start approaching from different angles. Start from the side of the block and after go turn more so that finally you go straight forward to the block. I'm still working on doing this trick on the block, so please check Ronnie. This is a great presentation of this trick. Okay, next trick, I don't know the name. I seen this trick from the Pasha the boss, so I called it Pasha twist on the edge. Find the block which is slightly lower than your hips. Start as a cartwheel again. Lie down on your belly, roll, and that's it. Harder and faster way is to roll around your hips, not on your belly. You can also combine this trick with front walkover if you have some gymnasts. I'm not that flexible, so I'm not landing on my feet, but I tried and it's pretty nice handstand could be. If you're teaching this trick on the wood block, please put some folding mats on the top. Keep yourself and your students away from injuries. And the last one for today, it's a 540 spin, or I heard sometimes people call it double palm spin. It's kind of you doing two palm spins on the same obstacle. I usually like to draw on the block and show my students where they have to place the hands. They placing their hands on the axis and you can see the arrow which showing them where they need to bring the feet. So start as you're doing normal palm spin, landing your feet on one side of the block, and after switch your hand and do like a dash dismount or other spin with tight position. To do this trick, you start with 2 feet touch first, and after start with touching just by only 1 foot. Finally, you don't need this foot and you will continue as a full 540 palm spin. Depends how wide the obstacle. Sometimes you will not be able to finish your 540 spin as a Jason Paul like you can see here. So the wider obstacles, the farther your hand, the harder to control, and the dash dismount will be one of the versions of how to do it nice, cool, and safe. Okay guys, see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe.